May I speak in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. This book is fantastic. The Divine Dance by Richard Rohr with Mike Morell. And it's all about discovering a new perception of God. It says here, there are basically two paths that allow people to have a genuinely new experience. The path of wonder and the path of suffering. The path of wonder is something that we experience at those great moments in life, perhaps a wedding, falling in love, the wonder of a wonderful walk in a beautiful place, the birth of a child, moments of spiritual connection that are profound. The path of suffering is something that we all go through at some point, and at the moment we're going through that path of suffering together globally as we experience the coronavirus pandemic. Now we know some people will suffer mild symptoms, but they will experience the virus, the anxiety and fear, the worry of this time. Others will suffer more seriously and lose their lives. And they will leave behind those people who grieve and mourn terribly. None of us will be untouched. Rather like the First World War, we will all know someone. There has not been a time like it. Not since the outbreak of the Second World War, really. But the Gospel reading from John 19 today recalls the suffering of Mary, Jesus' mother, Mary's sister, one of his closest disciples, Mary Magdalene, and the disciple John, the beloved disciple. He, on the cross, binds them together in a community through this bond of mutual love and care. As they watch him suffer on the cross, he says, "Son, here is your mother. Mother, here is your son." Simple words, but they remind us of the value, of the importance of community when we are going through that path of suffering. And we hear that from that hour on, Mary was taken into that disciple's home and stayed with him, we understand, till the end of her life. They were not alone in this time of crisis, in their time of crisis. They were together. They supported and cared for one another. While the coronavirus pandemic is a terrible thing, it is reforging the bonds of community among many of us. It is making people mothers and disciples to one another. Perhaps we've lost sight of how fragile we are, how much we need one another, how much we need a good, strong community to get through. What a great treasure the NHS and all its staff are, and how everyone, great and small, can really make a difference through a little kindness. It's also opened our eyes to how greedy and selfish and grasping, how awful people can be when they are frightened, when they are fearful, when they focus on their own needs at the expense of other people. And that's helping us discover a sense of really what is right and what is wrong, And we're beginning to challenge one another to understand that this me first attitude doesn't help anyone when we're all trying to just survive this together. Colossians 3:12-17 said we should clothe ourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience. Above all, clothe yourselves with love, which binds everything together in perfect unity. In the countless voluntary efforts around the country, including here in Nazeing, we are seeing that very compassion, that very kindness, that very binding together in love. And it's so comforting to know that others are prepared to be there for us, especially if we're lonely and self-isolating. I'd like to particularly flag up the efforts of the Nazeing self-isolation support group. You see these posters around the place. It's providing details of who can be contacted. Please look out for them, and please do contact those people, Dawn Warwick and Pastor Andrew, if you need some help and support at this time. At the bottom, I think, is my favourite, a little banner, Nazeing kindness. Thank God for Nazeing kindness. During this time of Lent, we're focusing in the Church of England on the environment and how we can change our behaviour, really learn to think differently. The coronavirus pandemic has really eclipsed that focus for now. But actually, it strikes me that what we're discovering through this time is another way of living, another way of being, which will lead us into that new future. We cannot live that old way anymore. We cannot live only for ourselves in the way that we have done. We have to live differently. And more importantly, we have to learn to live together with love and compassion and kindness amid all the grief and sadness of this time. At the foot of the cross, where Mary and John watched Jesus suffer, that kindness, that love, that community is what got them through. And that will be what gets us through this too. Amen.